about Robert Jackson. When I went to Albany Law School, Robert Jackson was an abstraction, just like any sitting judge is now. When I went to Albany Law School, I learned very quickly that Robert Jackson was the preeminent alumni of the school. And I learned he didn't graduate from Albany Law, but he attended Albany Law. So he was the top man that they boasted about. And then subsequently, I learned that he practiced law in Chautauqua County, in particular Jamestown. So, well, he no longer was an abstract person. He was a person of intimacy. And I involved myself in learning about him. And of course, at that time, he was a preeminent legal man in the country. You know, everyone respected him, and he was outstanding. So I was anxious. So when I came back to talk to people who were his contemporaries and practiced law with him and rubbed elbows with him and had a beer with him and that sort of thing, the intimacy of that relationship, which is basic in an understanding the personnel of a man. Yes, I did attend the funeral. It was, what shall I say, creme de creme of the legal profession of the whole country. All of judges and so forth. The eulogies were what you would expect, exemplary, and extolled his talents and so forth and so on. And then I think we were permitted to mingle among the high elite, and the one man that sticks out in my mind of the assemblage was William Douglas. Mm-hmm. Could sit down and talk to him, and he was a most regular guy, just as you and I would discuss. You didn't hold him in awe, he just put you at ease, and he was the most popular justice there. Yeah. And it was quite a moving experience, I'm sure the people who knew him have described him more. I didn't know him. I may have shaked hands with him on one occasion, but not in an intimate way. But I'll tell you one episode. I was listening to my radio one night in the early morning hours, and I was startled to hear, I was trying to recall who it was, giving a talk on Robert Jackson in the early morning hours. And I don't know whether it was a retranscribed or a replay of a talk that he had given earlier that day. And so I listened with fascination, and he was quoting some of the quotations that Justice Jackson gave. And the next day I wrote him a letter. I knew he'd be pleased to know that I heard him 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning out here in the boondocks, and he had probably given that talk. I know he had given it up in New England someplace, Boston. And he responded immediately. He said, "Oh, I'm so pleased to hear that you heard my talk, especially at that hour in the morning." And then he said, "I was especially intrigued with the quotation that you gave from Robert Jackson." He said, "I assure you that I'm going to use that quotation in my next and continuing speeches on the subject." I may still have that letter. If I find it, I'll forward it to you.
Please do.
I wish I could recall the man's name. Very distinct,